Hang on.
Yes, sit down. So be careful with what you said.
Yes, it is on.
Everybody ready?
Yep, Mayor Councilor, you're good to go.
Welcome everyone to the Hutchinson City Council meeting for Tuesday, August 25th, 2020. Call the meeting to order. Approve the council agenda and any agenda additions or corrections.
Mayor and Council, I don't have any additions or corrections.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Mary, second by Chad to approve the agenda. Roll call, Dave,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes, I approve.
Mary,
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, invocations from the Hutchinson Evangelical Free Church.
Mayor, we don't have anybody here in attendance.
All right, we'll just move on then. Pledge of Allegiance, Dave requested to do it again, so everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
good for all. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. And Mark, I heard you back in the background. That was good. Recognitions of gifts, donations, and community service to the city. Does anybody have anything tonight? All right, we do have a resolution number 15202, a resolution accepting $100 donations from Judy and Michael Bragelman to the Hutchinson Police Department towards the Law Enforcement Memorial Park Fund. Motion to approve that, please.
So moved.
I'll second it. Motion by Chad, second by myself to approve the donation. Roll call, Dave,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Matt, do we have anybody to address? Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I'd asked this once before, but just wondering if we're doing it now where we send out thank you notes to people that make contributions like that, donation.
Yeah, usually a couple times a year we'll send out a thank you letter to everybody who gives a donation.
Great, thanks.
I like that, Steve. Thanks for bringing that up. So that gets done. Thank you. Matt, do we have anybody to address the council?
No, we don't.
Alrighty, moving on. Approval of minutes. We have the regular meeting minutes of August 11th, 2020.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Steve, second by Dave to approve. Roll call. Dave,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Consent agenda. This will be done by one motion unless somebody takes something off for discussion. Is approval of the 2020 CARE Act grant with McLeod County. B is approval of resolution number 205, resolution adopting finding of facts and reasons for approval of site plan located at 225 Highway 7 West. C is approval of improvement project change order. Under there, one is change order number 6, letting number 2, project number 19-02, that's the South Grade Road corridor improvements. And 2 is change order number 1, letting number 4, project number 20-4, airport area utility improvements. And D is claims appropriation and contract payments. Anything that somebody wants pulled off.
Mayor, I would ask that you pull item number B. We had there was a typo, so we need a revised resolution for your consideration.
Alrighty. Motion to approve the balance.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Chad, second by Mary to approve the balance. Roll call. Dave,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Matt,
Yeah, there was a typo on Dan's on. He'll maybe explain the typo.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. We had a typo in the address, a copy and paste error, where it talked about the owner of the property in the resolution. And we've got that squared away. Also, Steve and I had a conversation today about a couple questions he had. So Steve, if you want to mention those, I can give everybody the background on those if you'd like, or however you want to go about that.
Sure. Thanks, Dan. One thing I just thought it'd be helpful to get noted in the minutes, but if you looked at the drawings, there's going to be a fence next to the residential areas on both sides, which is good. But it showed that it was 6 feet, and by our ordinance, isn't it supposed to be at least 8 feet?
Yes, it's an 8-foot fence, and then that fence is required to be screened by landscaping as well. And I spoke with the developer, and he's also on the call here, but I don't believe that's going to be an issue on their end.
And then just the second thing is kind of the truck traffic. It sounds like the loading dock is, or loading area, not a loading dock, but is back on the northeast side. So trucks, which could be semi-trailers, would be pulling in, kind of going west then in front of the entrance and then backing up to reach that loading area. Just was curious about the amount of truck traffic and if everybody's comfortable with that. So.
Sure. Yeah, as I noted, the thought is there'll probably be about 1 to 2 trucks per week that would utilize that. They try to schedule the trucks at off-peak times so that they're not interfering with their normal customer traffic. And again, that'd be semi-trucks once or twice a week. And in addition to that, they get regular straight trucks that might have, milk, potato chips, soft drinks, things like that, that get delivered to the store there. Generally speaking, staff doesn't have a concern about the truck traffic we talked about in our meeting.
Okay, that's all I had. And like Dan said, we talked earlier today, but I just thought it'd be helpful to have a brief discussion about a couple of those things. Otherwise, I don't know if there's any other discussion, but I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Steve, second by Dave to approve. Roll call. Dave?
Aye.
Dave, Steve?
Aye. Thanks, Dan.
Mary?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No communications, request communications, no unfinished business. We'll move to new business. Proposal from the Untitled Group for construction management service for the new police station.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, one of the things we've talked about this probably since we started discussion on design and eventual build of the police station was our desire to bring on a construction management firm to assist the city with both the design and build phases of this project. So with that in mind, there was an interview committee that was established that solicited proposals from 5 different firms. I think 3 or 4 of them had extensive work in the area with construction management services. And from those interviews, it was a consensus of the group to bring forth a recommendation to hire the Integrity Group out of Little Falls. They've done work recently. They assisted the county on their kind of jail facility, and then they're assisting them on the work that's being done at the John Claus building as well. And really what they do, they come in at the front end and they assist with kind of assist the city and the architect on design. And, you know, from those that we've talked to, I think where the real benefit is that they really kind of help guide in sense of cost control. And so, you know, maybe as the engineer or the architect is designing something and maybe they have an idea to do something, they're there to kind of say, that will work just fine, but we can maybe do it like this, it'll be cheaper, or we need to keep this in mind. Or this is what the market is showing, and you know, you've got 15 contractors that will do this. You'll probably have a better price if you're doing that. And so obviously they're also there on site as our representative when the work is being done. I think just from some experiences that we've had in the past on some of our other larger projects, we felt there was really a need to have that expertise on board, both at the front end, during the design end, and then they'll be there for the warranty work at the end as well. And so that's who, I guess, you know, based off of our interview, that's who city staff has brought forth as a recommendation to the city council to hire for those services.
Was curious, Matt, and maybe you answered it a little bit there, but it talked about the advantages with competitive bidding. But, you know, we're public, so not always obligated, but, you know, for the low bidders. So just kind of curious how where that advantage might come in on that aspect of it.
Well, that's where, you know, and as we've talked about a little bit too, I think there's the possibility where they can look at that and say, you know what, you might be better off bidding out this package of work instead of, okay, we want to build where a general contractor might come in and, okay, we're asking for the bid for the entire construction of a police station. So we've seen some of that where you're bidding out maybe 10, 15 packages when you're constructing that building, and that's where some of that comes in. And you can get into some design as a design engineer, and I can't remember the technical term for that, but that's where I think you see some of that benefit of them being on board to go in. There might be a better way to package this to bring in better prices.
A design build or something. Another question I had, you know, when they had the prices, several of them were fixed fees. But under the construction, I think it was construction management, it was estimated at a certain amount. Any thought of having a not to exceed amount with that?
And that's based on the estimated construction cost is what they gave the price off of, and that 1.88% was the bid. I think it's difficult to pin down one of these firms. I will say all of them had that type of bid, just because you don't know what that construction cost is going to be yet at this time.
And there was actually 2 construction costs noted. One was the on-site construction manager, right? And then there was also another construction cost. Is that kind of the background support, of the whole process?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there's really three phases to it. One is the pre-construction, and that was the flat rate of $10,000. Then there's kind of the construction management. That's the on-site kind of overseeing everything. That was that 199, 200, and then you had kind of that the management fee, which was that 150. That was over and above that. So.
Yes,
Matt, you wouldn't want to manage that project or staff or anything?
No. So.
Yeah, we got JJ. Make a motion to approve?
I'll second. Motion by Steve, second by myself. Roll call, Dave,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Chad,
Aye.
aye, motion carries. Proposal from Ward Architect for the next phase of design on the new police facility.
Yeah, Wold has included their proposals to kind of continue on. Obviously, I think we're all familiar with Wold. They came on board to assist us back in, I think it was the end of 16, beginning of 17, with some of our study and analysis. We looked at, potential to go out and look for additional proposals regarding the architectural services, but we just felt that as a group, they kind of know they know the area. They've been assisting us from day one. There's a comfortability level that we have with them. We just didn't necessarily want to start all over with that. And so that's why we brought forth the recommendation, just to continue to move forward with Wool. We've got a good working relationship with them. I think having the construction manager on board with the architect, I think that will assist us in maybe some of the areas that we had some concerns with, growth of costs on the project. We just think this will be a good kind of, as they describe it to us, a three-legged stool between the city, the architect, and construction management services.
So Matt, with combined, with the Integrity Group and then the Wold, it's like 776,000. We're looking at the construction costs maybe 8 million, so there's 875, with that. But then in the capital projects or CIP, we're looking at like 10.2. Is that just some cushion or grounds?
We also have to remember we've got demolition of the site that we haven't, and then we have, along with demolition, is basically creating that south wall to what will be the new south wall of the liquor store. And so those are a bunch of unknowns, along with site preparation costs. So there's really three other costs out there that we don't know of. And so my hope is that we've got a cushion, and that 10.25 is on the high side.
I would suppose would furnishing be a part of that also?
Yeah, we got furnishing, all that, part of that as well.
Okay.
Any other questions for Matt? Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Wool.
I'll second.
Motion by Mary, second by Chad to approve. Any other discussion on it? Roll call, Dave,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Chad,
Aye.
aye, motion carries. Resolution number 15204, adopting City of Hutchinson logo, tagline, and usage standards.
Mayor and council, I guess before we get to the actual resolution part, I do have kind of a short, hopefully short presentation, just to kind of go over this agenda item here. So let me pull that up here quick. Once again, everyone, or just to bring I guess the public up to date, we did receive our final report. The council received it at the end of July on the marketing and branding study. And so just to give you some quick background on this, back in May of 2019, the city issued an RFP for our marketing and branding services. In that RFP, we had stated the following goal, and our goal was to develop a community branding initiative for the city, along with a marketing strategy to assist city staff and elected officials in promoting the city of Hutchinson to new residents and young families, along with prospective businesses and developers. The study was to provide insights regarding current perceptions of the city and to help drive the recruitment of new residents and young families, energize current residents, instill a sense of pride with the community, and position the city as a desirable place for relocation and redevelopment to increase new resident attraction and economic growth. The one thing I do want to point out is, what don't you see in that goal statement? And I'll highlight it, and it's the logo and the tagline. And the only reason I note that is I think it's important to remember that, is that obviously the logo and the tagline is a part of this, and that's why we have this action on here tonight, but that was not the overall goal of this project. It was really that branding, and it was to establish a branding and a marketing plan. Now the logo and tagline is a piece of that, but that was not the end goal. And so I know there's been a lot of talk about the logo, but I wanted to make sure that we highlighted that aspect of it, that was just a piece of this puzzle. And as we go through this presentation, you'll realize that we're still on kind of the first couple steps of completing this marketing and branding plan. You know, and one of the things is, well, why would we do this? And the reality is that cities do this every day. We're always marketing and branding our community, whether we know it or not, you know, whether we're talking about how great our park system is, our school system is. And what we really wanted to do was to try to organize and package something all together. And that's really what this project started out as. And that's really what this project, the goal of this project was to do, is to really bring that plan together and group it in something that can be presented. And so just want to make sure I highlighted that part of the plan. Obviously from that RFP, we selected Chandler Thinks as our consultant in August of 2019, and they kicked off the project last September. Chandler Thinks conducted a tour of the community and held focus group and listening sessions along with one-on-one interviews in November. They conducted a community survey, an attitude and awareness and perception study that was done for people within a 50-mile radius of Hutchinson back in December. They presented a lot of those research findings at a meeting at the end of January. And then kind of COVID hit and everything kind of got delayed by about 2 to 3 months. Staff received the final report in June. There were some corrections that need to be made, and obviously then that was passed on to the city council here at the end of July. Just to touch briefly on some of the research, there was over 800 participants that took part in this project. That include 24 interviews with community stakeholders, 47 participants in focus groups. There was 171 members on the marketing Facebook page. There was 312 community surveys that were completed, 329 attitude awareness and perception surveys completed. Chandler Thinks also performed a review of our digital footprint, basically our website, social media. And then the one thing that the research kind of showed was that 75% of the respondents stated that it was important to extremely important for the city to actively create and manage its own reputation. That plays into part of our project goals here. I will note, for anyone who's interested, there is a comprehensive research report. If you'd like to see that was handed to us as a part of this project as well. And so obviously you look at taking that research and then you turn it into some sort of a branding direction. And really when we talk about that branding direction, and we're talking about, you know, we're trying to create something that is compelling, that's distinct, that reflects truth, and reflects pride. And what we're really trying to do is create a story about Hutchinson. And so from that research, and with that in mind, with turning that into some sort of a branding direction, the research said that there's really 4 key insights and brand truths when we talk about the city of Hutchinson. And what brand truths are undeniable facts about Hutchinson according to the research. And so brand truths cannot be ignored and must be embraced. And really what Chandler Think said was that Hutchinson has 4 of them. And these truths really should be used to promote Hutchinson. Like I said, I think that gets back to the point that we've never really had a consistent message here, at least from the city's aspect of trying to promote and communicate the city. And so what those 4 truths were was that, 1, that the personality, values, and reputation of Hutchinson reflect that of a small, rural, blue-collar town. Honesty, hardworking, safe, friendly, and supportive. Key insight number 2 is that from the formation of the town to a successful Tiger Path program to selling its own compost, Hutchinson has a strong history of progressive collaborative thinking that may surprisingly juxtapose its conservative nature. Truth number 3 is that downtown Hutchinson, the Crow River, area parks and trail system create an aesthetic that draws the community together. And that 4, Hutchinson serves as a rural hub to other small towns in the area for jobs, for dining, for healthcare, for shopping, and for social activity. And so that was part of what they identified as 4 aspects of Hutchinson. They had one problem, and this was their diagnosis. They noted that the city of Hutchinson's presentation, our website, social media, logo, etc., does not reflect its professionalism and progressive energy of its programs and general community. Essentially, the way we communicate ourselves to the quote unquote outside world. That's where we're lacking. And so that was what they identified as something that obviously is in need of improvement. And so I think it's important, especially when we start talking about the logo, the tagline, and the other aspects of this, is getting back into that story. What is our story? What's the brand story that we want to share with those within the community and those outside the community, those that are coming into the community, those that may be new? What is Hutchinson? Who are we? You know, so what I think one of the most important things that Chandler Things did was they developed a brand story for the city of Hutchinson. And really that story tells where Hutchinson has been, and more importantly, where we're going. It's kind of a narrative that sets the tone for the brand voice that can be found in a number of different ways. It should be a unifier. It's got a personality. Talks about our aesthetics. It's the way we talk, what we talk about, what we care about. It's probably never the exact same, but it's always familiar to those within the community. And so what I really want to be able to do, because I think it's important to share this, and it's going to get a little long, and it's probably not ideal for the setting that we're in, but I think it's important that this gets shared with the 5 of you as council members, because I think it will play into where we go from here, but also for those that are watching in the public, so they have a better understanding of what that tagline and what that logo is going to be. Because really the research led into the facts that lead into the story, that lead into the logo tagline, that lead into the branding and the marketing in the community. I think it's important for us to realize that. And so I don't have a great voice for video or TV or radio, so hopefully you can bear with me, but I want to be able to share what Chandler Thinks came up with as our story. Like I said, because hopefully that'll do a better job of maybe leading into the tagline and the logo. So bear with me here. So this is our brand story for Hutchinson. This is really the story we want to help use to communicate who we are as a community to those quote unquote outside of Hutchinson. So on a late November afternoon, standing on the crest of a hill overlooking the Crow River, 3 Hutchinson brothers knew they had found what they had been looking for. The perfect place to establish a community that stood for the values and human rights that they had been expounding for years through their popular music. Only now they could actually put those lyrics into practice by advocating for the principles, such as abolition of slavery and women's equal rights through laws enacted on the town's very first day. So it was long before the rest of the country would come around to their forward-thinking ideas, Hutchinson, Minnesota, established a reputation for blazing trails as a town ahead of its time. More than 160 years later, Hutchinson still stands apart as a city with a vision for the future. A city that thinks and acts differently because of its solid commitment to plans and decisions that first and foremost improve the quality of life, the economic, physical, social, emotional, and environmental wellness for all of its residents, workers, and visitors. Like the Crow River, generations of wisdom have flowed through the area's rich history, gleaning and drawing deeply from its abundant woods, wildlife, and surrounding lakes. Here's a community shaped not only by the natural beauty and forces that come together only here in this part of rural Minnesota, but also by its legacy and its people. Somewhere between small town and big city, farm community and metropolis lies Hutchinson. Though a small town by some standards, it's more big city in its vision for the future and ability to get things done. You'll find small town charm in its historic downtown where quaint shops, local businesses, a cozy coffee shop, and restaurants line Main Street. But you also find big city appeal and an exceptional school system and a vibrant arts and cultural community that includes the Hutchinson Center for the Arts, Hutchinson Theater Company, the Minnesota Pottery Festival, Orange Spectacular, Minnesota Garlic Festival, and celebrated River Song Music Festival. A friendly, personalized, supportive approach to doing business, more indicative of a small town welcoming spirit is alive and well in this community. Yet it also recognizes as a pioneering, highly productive, forward-thinking manufacturing, agricultural, and industrial hub that finds creative ways of working with new businesses and entrepreneurs. In fact, Hutchinson is already preparing tomorrow's workforce today with the state's most ambitious skilled workforce development initiative, Tiger Path, where high school students discover their interests and talents by learning, exploring, and building career and technical skills. Some cities talk, Hutchinson acts, wasting no time doing things because that's the way it's always been done. Over the years, the city's leaders have seen the opportunity and challenges instead, acting decisively on the most efficient, effective solution for all. The fact that they hatched the idea of selling their own compost is certainly testament to that. Much can be owed to a local spirit of cooperation and collaboration, and the ability to discern what is worth saving, such as a state theater, and what can fall away. Hutchinson is a micropolitan that has managed to balance growth with preservation, where development doesn't compromise its cultural or environmental character. The Downtown Redevelopment Project is a great example of that, going forward even in the midst of challenging times. Just as the Hutchinson brothers first recognized, the city's abundant natural resources and beauty greatly added to a higher quality of life, with hiking, biking, and snowmobile trails such as Loose Line Trail, walking paths, the wildlife sanctuary, and access to fishing, boating, kayaking, and water sports in the area's more than 50 lakes. There are ample opportunities to experience Minnesota's great outdoors right out your back door, or as a great escape from the bigger cities. Here you'll find a community confident in itself and its direction, unwavering in its focus and sense of mission, with a way of thinking about the world that inspires them to set their sights on noble and bold, but also achievable goals. This is a city whose marching orders are clear: to serve its people, commerce, and industry with a clear focus, staying on point with intention and purpose, charting a better course for the future while still cherishing what is right before us. City of Hutchinson, city on purpose. So if you hadn't seen already with the slideshow that I was giving, but the tagline that has come forward as a recommendation is Hutchinson, the city on purpose. Some of you that might sit and go, what do you mean city on purpose? And I just asked you to think about it a little bit. Think about the foundation of the city, the Hutchinson brothers. They had a purpose. They had a purpose, they had a plan when they found the city. They established that in the founding documents of the city. Think back to something even a little bit closer to our time, Tiger Path. It was done on purpose. There was a reason that we did that, or even the business incubator. Creekside is an example, or Hutch Utilities being established. Everything that we've done in this community has been done with a specific purpose. And so I think that's what came out to Chandler Thinks as they really looked at this and as they developed, what's being presented to you tonight for consideration. And think back to all the various plans that we put together, from the Parks Master Plan to the comprehensive plan, to the downtown plan. All that's done with a specific purpose on driving the community forward in a certain direction. And so obviously that was the logo. This is what's been recommended as the tagline. This is what's being recommended as the new logo. You have the logo by itself on the left there. Then you have the logo with the tagline attached to it, and that's, I guess, two different ways that it could look and appear in the community. There's also a standards guide that was included in your council packet that you'll be asked to consider tonight. That kind of gives directions on how that be used. But as you look at the new logo, a little bit behind that and what's being recommended, I will say, those that were involved with the committee and those that gave feedback, what we were looking for was something that was simple, that could be used across the board. And so the new proposed logo, it's easy to read. The font is clean sans serif and is intended to project strength. It provides a modern look with ties to our historic past. The three arches symbolize the waterfall at the Crow River Dam. It's designed for the icons to have an upward flow, appearing to create a lift for the icon, showing the forward movement of the city. So obviously with the tagline and the logo that's in front of you tonight for consideration, like I said, I know we're going to spend probably a lot of time talking about the logo and the tagline, but I think it's important for us to remember this is just one piece of the bigger picture. We have to remember we're doing a marketing and branding plan. And so with that being said, I wanted to kind of touch on what the next steps are. So part of the reason that we're asking for the council to consider approval of the logo and tagline tonight is so we can then begin working on the next steps. That includes storytelling. That's really developing our story to help share not only with our staff, but with key stakeholders within the community. And then from there, that's the brand application. That's starting to use stuff like PowerPoints, letterhead, starting to roll that out into how we're communicating ourselves and presenting ourselves to the community. There'll come a point then where we'll share and engage our story on our look, and that's where the public rollout will be. So that's really, we're probably looking at more of that public rollout somewhere in that 4 to 12 months out. So there's still a lot of work to do as you look at this. And then from there, you create a sense of place. And that's one thing that you'll see in the final report that was given to you. There's details for each one of these phases. They detail what you should be doing and how to roll that out. And so we've got a plan in place to really hopefully make this work. And then there's an effort at the end to measure the brand effect. So, we went through all this process. We want to ensure that it's effective and that it's being worked on. And so that's kind of, my presentation on the logo and how we got to this point. What the next steps are. Like I said, I know we're going to spend some time focusing on the tagline and logo, but if that's all we're going to focus on, I think we've missed the whole purpose behind this project. And so I know, I'm sure that's what's going to get rolled out is the logo and the tagline, but I think it's important for us to remember that there's still a lot more to go on this. I guess maybe hand it over to, I know we have Mary and Steve were on the committee that was a part of this project. I don't know if they have anything to add, anything I maybe didn't touch on, but then I had asked, I guess, for the council to consider the resolution.
I think you did a good job going through all of this. It was a process, and we as a group like what we see, and it is important for our city. So I'll leave it at that. Steve?
Yeah, I was really happy. Enjoyed being part of it. I also appreciate all the support and involvement community members, played in the process itself. I was really curious what they would come up with because we don't have one thing. We just have a great quality of life and a lot of things that add into that, and then just that whole element of cooperation and partnerships, collaboration, and I think they really captured it in the story and the tagline. Like the updated logo is kind of like a tie to the past, but also the future. And I think the bottom line is the real impact will come with how we use it. And that's what Matt was alluding to, kind of those next steps. And it's just not the city using it, the community as a whole can be a part of this and, incorporate elements of this too. So it's another part of the collaboration with it. So.
And I do want to add too, I forgot to mention this, there was many people that were involved in those focus groups and some of those one-on-one discussions. One of the next steps will include a meeting with myself as we go through this report in a little bit more detail, similar to what I did with the department directors. And so I'll be looking to do some of that here in the next couple of months as well. So they're not necessarily done or been left out of the next couple phases of this project.
Mary and Steve, just a question for you. Were you kind of surprised on what they've seen from, somebody from outside the community looking into Hutchinson? Did some of the things surprise you that they came up with?
I don't know if it surprised me, but believe me, they looked at every aspect of our community. They looked at downtown, they looked at businesses, they watched people's activities, they visited restaurants, they stayed in our hotels, they walked our trails. They were very intuitive to our community. They were over the top. I was totally impressed. You also have to realize that they're not from our area. So this was a new community to them, and they really did their job. I was very, very impressed. Steve?
Yeah, I guess the one thing, not really a surprise to us, but a reaffirmation, of things that make Hutchinson great. And, but the one thing they commented on that, and Matt, mentioned that in the presentation, but just this, and I don't know the right word for it, but we're conservative yet progressive. And with that collaboration and the things that we've done, and they really saw that as unique. And I think it's important to remember too, as part of the process, they got input from the community itself, but they also went outside the community to get input from others to see how they thought or what they thought about Hutchinson. So it's just not Hutchinson people, it's outside Hutchinson as well.
To piggyback a little bit off of what Steve shared there, I think the one thing that jumped out at me is when we look at our community survey, a lot of times what is negative or what's touched on is how there's not enough shopping places, dining places. A lot of the community says we really lack on that. What their research showed was that for those that don't live in the community, they all come here for those things. So that was kind of interesting, is that our those who live in the community don't feel like we have enough of those options, but those who live outside of the community come here because they see us having all those options. And so that was one thing that jumped out at us. And I would echo what Steve said too. They said it was very unique and it was something they'd never seen before. They kind of do those, I don't know what the word highlights, but to see conservative and progressive was used by several people in their conversations. I said, that's just, look at today's, sorry, I won't go there, but that's just something that's not combined in the same conversation as conservative and progressive. And so that was something that they highlighted.
And really, that is why it is a city on purpose, because we are.
All right, any other discussion? Entertain a motion.
A motion to approve.
I will second that.
Thanks, Chad.
Motion by Steve, second by Chad. Roll call. Dave?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Matt. Great presentation. Setting council workshop for September 22nd, 2020 at 4:30 PM for annual update from the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, we've been contacted by the coalition. Bradley wanted to come out and just give his annual presentation to the city council. In the past, it's generally been about a half hour, 45 minutes. So I figured it best to do that at a workshop. And so that date and time works for him. I think he'll probably join us virtually, but just looking for you guys to schedule that.
I'll make a motion to set that meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion by Chad, second by Dave to set the meeting. Roll call, Dave,
Aye.
Steve. Aye. Mary,
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, governance minutes, reports from committees, boards, or commissions. We have the Hutchinson Utility Commission minutes from June 24th, 2020. We have the Hutchinson Housing and Redevelopment Authority annual meeting minutes from August 20th, 2019. Hutchinson Housing and Redevelopment Authority board minutes from July 21st, 2020. Tall grass enforcement report for June, July 2020. Planning Commission minutes from June 16th, 2020. City of Hutchinson financial report and investment reports for July 2020. We got Kent there.
No, he had to jet out for an appointment. So,
All right. How about Chief Gifferson? Is he still there?
yep, he's still here. So
Does
doesn't
he have any?
he doesn't have anything to give unless you guys have any questions for him. So.
Oh, come on. Somebody's got to have something for Chief Gifferson, don't they? All right. Is there anybody else out there, Matt?
Mark, he's usually very talk.
Oh.
I don't know. Usually he has a lot to say. I'll put it that. So, but nothing tonight looks like. So.
Nothing tonight.
Well, all right. Dave, what do you have tonight?
Just a good feeling of seeing what's going on down through Main Street and the progress that's being made, and being able to cross more than one street at a time over on coming to the south. But it looks good. I think it's going to look great when it's absolutely done. So that's my input for the evening.
Thanks, Dave. Steve, you got something for us tonight?
Yeah, just a couple things. First, wish Kent was here, but as far as South Grade Road and the resurfacing of that wear course, that's going to be really nice. And did hear some positive comments, thank yous from some of the residents on the west side of the rec center where some of their streets got resurfaced too. They thought that really turned out nice. So good start of that project.
I'll just say, I think those
Go
streets
ahead.
I think those streets are expected to be open tomorrow sometime. So
Looked like they were just doing striping and things like that to finish up. With that project that's planned, with the on the east side of the rec center, I just sent a note to Kent asking about some possible ash tree removals, with the diversification projects. And so he is going to be looking at that with Donovan to see what's might be possible and make sense with that too. So just wanted to give an update on that. There's some areas high concentration, so it would be an opportunity to diversify some of that. The last thing was on the South Grade Road Bridge, earlier this year, I think some of the staff took some gravel down to at least on the southwest side where the stairs are to help level off give more of a platform for people that are fishing down there. And that was I heard back from that. That was really appreciated. Just thought, it'd be nice if there could be a little bit more where, especially going to the east, kind of where the bridge itself is on that side, if that could be done, and then maybe some more work on some of the other areas. So didn't know if maybe a plan, could be looked at. And I know it probably won't get done this year, now in the fall, but maybe it's something that could be worked on or planned to make some improvements with that.
That's a conversation I had with the Parks Department. You may recall, Steve, with our Lakes River Basin study that, one of the things that was identified was additional recreational, fishing opportunities within that. And so I know that's out there, I don't think we've obviously looked at developing a more formal plan on that, but it's a conversation I can have with the Parks Department. So.
The very last thing I have is with the mall and the paving and Marshall's coming in. I know they're taking a lot of heat with the parking lot the way it was before, and just wondering if maybe a letter of thank you would be
Sure.
Seem nice. So that's it.
Thanks, Steve. Mary, do you have anything for us tonight?
The only thing I have is I've had quite a few people ask me about a splash pad for the kids, and we kind of talked about it later, earlier on, but maybe it's something we should look at. I think a lot of kids use it. I mean, that's my feeling. I don't know if we can fit that in our budget, but maybe it's something we could discuss. And maybe there's a group that can pony up some cash and help us out with it. That's my thoughts. That's what I'm hearing from the people out there. This is the summer of COVID, and we don't know what the other summers are going to be like either. So Litchfield had their splash pad open all summer, and it's packed. And all the kids that go there love it. So.
I know it's been brought up, and I think that was one thing that was identified within the Parks Master Plan. And, I don't have a problem with us taking a look at it. I think it's important for the council to consider. We just built an aquatic center that has one. And so, it's not the splash pad that's similar, right. But, we have to realize that one may impact the other. So just to keep that in mind. And I would say too, it's going to be difficult, especially right now with, the police station that we're looking at and everything too. I'm not going to say it's not a possibility, but I guess that's just some of those things to keep in the back of our minds as well.
Right. Thanks.
And Litchfield, they built the splash pad in lieu of a pool or an aquatic center, which is what they wanted originally, but the funding just wasn't there for them to do that. But you're right, it's getting used. It's pretty nice.
Thanks, Mary. Chad, do you have something for us tonight?
I do. Steve kind of stole my thunder on South Grade, but we rode past it the other night, and it is like glass compared to the job that happened last fall. So when they redid it, they really did a nice job. The path approaches and stuff on South Highway 15 are also very nice. Like they were busted up for a long time. The contractor tore them out and then didn't replace them right away. But we rode them, I think, last night or the night before, and they're very nice and nicer than the ones that they replaced. So the crossing down by the brewery there, is there going to be a push button light or anything there, or is that just going to be a naked crossing that you just have to scurry across?
Mm-hmm. I don't recall in the plans that there was I think it was just supposed to be a naked crossing.
Right.
So
Sure, because it's kind of in now and you can see it live, and I didn't like it when it was in the plans, and now that I can see it live, I still don't like it. And I don't know if having a light like the one over by a Cash Buys would be a good idea, because if anybody tries to use that thing, they're going to get smoked. I mean, it's going to get ugly out there. But I mean, the crossing itself looks nice. They did a nice job, but seeing it live, I think we need to see if a light can go in there, but that's not in our control, obviously, but maybe we keep reiterating it.
Yeah, no, that's
And-
definitely, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's definitely a conversation we haven't been that, and I will just note, that was something we specifically, you guys as a council, even us as a staff, told MinDOT, we were not, I want to say supportive of it. That wasn't something we were recommending that they install there for some of the concerns, and so I think that will just be something that we continue to push, is that safety aspect, and like you said, whether it's a push button or something that improves that, so.
Because even if you come off of the road there by Vivid Image and try to go south onto the highway, I mean, it's a disaster to get in there with a car. So I can't imagine if somebody's going to try to cross there with a wheelchair, or some kids try to cross there walking. I mean, that's not going to be good. So that's all I'll say about that. And Matt, do you know, like, in talks in the past about splash pad, is it like, for dollars wise, is it like $100,000 gig, or to put in a splash pad, or
I
what?
think it depends on what what you're looking at. I'm just looking at, like, I think comparison purposes, if anybody's seen the one in Delano, I want to say it was like $300,000-$400,000.
Okay, sure.
So.
Is the one in Delano comparable to the one in Litchfield, or is it nicer, or?
I'll be honest, I can't say I've seen the one in Litchfield.
Oh, okay,
So,
sure. Yeah,
And
I mean,
I
the one in
don't-
Litchfield's very nice, in my
And I don't
opinion.
recall what Litchfield, I want to say, I guess I don't remember what they paid for that, but.
Okay, sounds good. Well, that's all I had tonight.
I want to say within our parks master plan, the range was like 250 to 450. That's what we have in that, so.
Yeah, I'll reiterate what Mary said too. I get running in the group that I run in with a lot of families with young kids. Like, a lot of people do talk about it, and I think people would use it, especially if it's on like the north side of the river, which would be nice, just to kind of differentiate geographically from the pool. It's not that people aren't mobile, but it'd be nice to have some more stuff on the north side. A lot of the parks and a lot of the nicer parks are on the south side of the river and stuff. So might be nice to look at a spot on the north side.
Sure. I think it's something we can definitely take a look at, so.
Thank you.
Well, Chad, I do have to agree. The sight lines there on 15 are terrible for that crossing. And we mentioned that before, but Matt, what do you have for us tonight?
Nothing really, just a reminder that city offices will be closed on Monday, September 7th for Labor Day holiday, which is before our next council meeting. So that's it.
Alrighty. I do have to say that the rec center is looking nice with the construction that's happening out there. And I think, Chad, you're right. I think that we should take a look on the north part of town, see if maybe look into that a little bit more about the splash pad up on the north end. But with that, that's all I got. So adjournment's in order.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Dave to adjourn. Roll call, Dave.
Aye.
Steve.
Hi.
Mary.
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thanks, guys.